Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the More Money Show comes in. If you're ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie, and I'm back with Mia. Welcome, Mia. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Great, Cassie. I am too. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Which leads me to my next question for you. What's awesome?
So many things. Working mostly. The most important thing is being my future self. But things that are helping me along that path are selling a business that I've had for close to 30 years, and going through all of the processes to do that, and just realizing how I come to my happy experiences, the things that make me happy in life.
It's awesome. So speaking of selling your business, one of the things that I think is really cool is I always talk about how when we step in, when you get in alignment with abundance and you start stepping in your future self, things just kind of come out of the blue. And one of those things for you was somebody wanting, you had already, we've talked about this in previous episodes, you're shutting down your wine business, um, you know, closing that out, but somebody offered you that they wanted to buy your brand and it kind of came out of nowhere. So how did that feel? Because that wasn't even a possibility that you had thought of, right?
Absolutely not. It wasn't anything that ever entered into my thinking. But that's very typical for me. People would look me in the eye and slap me and say, "Well, what do you think was going to happen to me?" And it's like, I didn't know. And I really didn't plan on it. But it got served up. And that's how things happen when they happen in the right way. It's not that you never have a plan or never have goals, but stuff gets served up to you because of the way that you're conducting yourself.
Right. Yeah, the what you've built, and I also think when we're in alignment and we feel good, like you feel good, this is a decision you made to sell. It's like that's the cake selling and the profits that come from that and all that. And this is like icing. It's like extra um bonus because of who you're being and how you're living your life and stepping into abundance and all of that.
Absolutely. Agreed 100%. Icing on the cake that's already been baked, for sure.
I love it. So you have, since our last interview, you've taken the Future Self Workshop. So will you talk a little bit about that? Share maybe your favorite experience or aha from that?
One of the biggest ahas that I had from that and it's a feeling that I've had, but it became much more concrete. I'm a little bit further along in my career than some people are. Little different money situation, not really worried about a lot of things. Um, so it's not so much about manifesting stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but the most important thing is future self. And certainly, manifest 10K starts your thinking off in the right way, but when you take a workshop, it really becomes super concrete that, it's all about the things that lead to your future self and living that life every day, 24/7, 365. And um, I certainly don't feel that I'm perfect, but I get better and I catch myself when I'm veering off the path a little bit more quickly. Um, it's just a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier to see when I'm on the path and when I'm starting to get out of the lane a little bit, and that helps so much. Helps so much.
Absolutely. What would you say, if anything, and maybe it's just things got stronger or more concrete, was the biggest change after the workshop or thing that you noticed in your mindset?
That really the sky is the limit, but the interesting thing is that you don't necessarily have to reach for the sky.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to know that it's all there. And sometimes even the little things really help for that. But it is important uh, to realize that the sky is the limit. That is very freeing. And like I said, you really don't have to reach for the sky, but it's the limit, and it's
Mm-hmm.
all there. And it makes everything on every level um, come easier and just be right there. I think that's the most important thing.
I love it. Yeah. And just for our listeners, I think what you're saying is that it's really about knowing everything is possible. And even if you don't, if you don't pick everything, there's this belief that gets amped up, or it's easier to believe when you know everything is possible.
Yes, that's completely what I'm trying to say. But it is important, and I think that was, you know, um, it is a limit when you think. I mean, you might say, well, I can, I'll probably have $2 million or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a limit. That's a limit, and nothing is a limit. It's all possible. Everything is there. Doesn't mean that you even want to go there or that you will end up there, but it makes everything else much come much more easily, and much just be there for you. So
Yeah. I love that. And so I would love, because I think this is, you said it in the beginning of the call, and I really want to spend some time with it. You don't have a lot, there's not a lot of manifesting left to do, you said, but it's just stepping into your future self. So how would you describe that, the manifesting versus stepping into your future self?
it's about future self is about a feeling. It's about a
Mm-hmm.
way of living. Manifesting is more about things, more about stuff, um, more about the things that you think are gonna take you to that place, where it's the person you want to be living every day. Those are the things that you think are there, and you realize going through all the processes that it's not the things, not that again, not that they're not important, and not
Mm-hmm.
that they're not part of the process, but there's a whole nother part that's the most important part, which is just realizing that it is all there for you. It's out there, and you just need to be ready to let it in.
I love that. That's super exciting. It's exciting to be in that place because I totally get it, where it's not about, um, and not that, like counting the things is bad or manifesting the things is like, it's all awesome and it's all part of the journey and it's those beginning phases. But that next level that you're talking about, where it's about becoming your future self and just welcoming those things and allowing those things, is it's just a whole different experience than sort of going after one thing at a time, like becoming a person who's living a life and knowing that that life is going to come with everything you want, is just takes on this new power and this new possibility.
Yeah, that's so true. And I don't want to make, tracking the money and things that you manifest, not important, because they are important. It is, if you have a business, it's important to keep track of, what's making money, what's not making money, and all of those things. But it isn't, you know, so it's a part of stuff, but it's not the end all. It's not
Mm-hmm.
what's going to bring you where you want to be.
Absolutely, I totally get it. It has its importance, and there's just this next level that's even more awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And it actually, if I tend to be a person who just wants to know things are going okay, and I don't want to look at specific numbers. But once I realize, where I am and where I'm going to be and where I'll be the rest of my life, it actually makes it easier to go back and look at the fine details of all the numbers, because there's nothing, there's no judgment there at that point. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
happens, is there's no judgment about the numbers. Either this didn't work out or this did work out, or it's not about that. It's just about numbers.
Right.
So
Yeah, it just becomes information when when you're so solid and you've seen your future self. It's just information, and it's today's information. And I think you can look at it more logical and less emotional because you know you're going to get where you want to get to.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way of putting it, Cassie. I couldn't have put it better. I wish I could have said that. It's information. That's all it is. But you need to get to a certain part, to a certain level, to realize that it is just information, because otherwise there's all kind of things tied up with it emotionally and just, crazy stuff that can happen. But once you're up level to the point of the life that you want to live, it makes it a lot easier to look at it as information.
Absolutely. That was beautifully said. So talk about, because this is, and I'm always fascinated, like hearing anything I can about your business. But as you sell a business, we talked a little bit before we started recording about how you've really had to learn and be in that place, or embody it more. I think that slow down and be in the moment and wait on it to come for you. Don't rush it. Can you talk a little bit about what that's like in selling a business and how, being tapped into your future self has supported that?
Yeah, it's for me, I always have wanting to get things done as quickly as possible, and I can do things pretty quickly. But it's complicated. Starting the business also was complicated. In the wine business, it takes a couple, 3 years before you even have inventory to sell. So the checks just keep going out until the money starts coming back. And the same is true on the other end. It takes time. You wind down your inventory, and if somebody expresses an interest in buying something, there's legalities, there's financials, there's everything. And I am definitely off my path when I want to rush through that stuff, because there isn't really any reason to rush through it. It needs to take its time. Stuff needs to be looked at. Things need to be agreed on, and steps need to be taken to the left and to the right, and it all happens in its time. And realizing that it's in its time is really important. But it means that life has to go on. You really have to relax around everything that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
What you can, you put the work in. It's just like, it's just like the law of attraction. You put whatever work in, and you wait. Can't make things happen. Stuff doesn't happen because you make it happen. You do the work, and other people do their work, and things happen, and they move perfectly. If you ever look at it, everything's perfect.
Yeah, I love that. And so how has doing the Manifest 10K activities and your future self stuff, how has that helped you fill the space while you're allowing things to unfold the way that they need to unfold?
Oh, let's see. Definitely all the materials and the exercises, the assignments that you have us do, Cassie. All of those things are definitely really helpful, and they all have their place. But I'll say that, excuse me, one of the things that's really helped me a lot is the weekly calls,
Mm-hmm.
because you see yourself in other people. And it's the same thing with the workshop. We're all together, and we're all working on the same assignments, and you're there overlooking stuff, and you see stuff comes up for people, and people come from all different walks of life. But it's one thing or it's another. It's telling an old story that doesn't need to be told anymore, or it needs to be told in a different way. It's trying to move through things too fast. It's trying to force things. There's a million different things that come up, and my partner Tracy, she'll force me to do the calls, even when we're not, even when we're in a spot where it makes it difficult, to do that, because she says, you always come away with something. Um, it's absolutely incredible. She can definitely see it, and it's very, very true. There's something alive about it. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, there's assignments to do, and you need to do the work on it on your own. But the Enchanted Circle and the people that are in that, and when you take a course, the same thing. It's like there's an alive energy there that is there right when you need it. Right when you need it. It's just like, man, that just sounds like me, or or if you say something and somebody else says, oh man, yeah, that's me. But it really helps. It's not as simple as that. There's an energy that goes along with it that builds you up and sustains you to really get to to your future self. Because everybody's heading somewhere different, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody else in the Enchanted Circle that has a wine business and is, you know, a consultant in the wine business and so on. Everybody's in a million different directions, but there's an energy heading in the same direction for everybody. And everybody's future self is a little different too. People are looking for different things, but there's a unifying energy that is just so uplifting.
I love that. That was the most amazing description of that I've ever heard. It's awesome. And it's true. And I love that. And it is so true. And I was wondering as you were talking about that, because you're right, it's coming into that energy. It's taking something away often that you didn't even know you needed. Because I will hear this time and time again from you guys. It's like, oh, someone asked a question, but I didn't even know I had that question, but I needed the answer.
that is so true. Or, you know, something will happen and you're a little snippy, or, you know, and you go, oh, that's why I'm a little snippy, and that's why, you know, this and that happened. I mean, even for things, you know, that are just little things. Tracy and I were coming back from lunch the other day, and, you know, we were tired. We'd just gotten back to Yosemite, picking up the dogs and all that sort of stuff. So we're coming back from having lunch at our little favorite Mexican restaurant. We're crossing the street, and there's traffic backed up right across the crosswalk. There's no signal there. There's a signal another block down. I see it. I'm in a hurry, so I run behind the car that's in the crosswalk, and I'm, you know, crossing the street. Tracy goes in front of the car into where, you know, there should be a crosswalk, and the car kind of pulls forward, you know.
Yeah.
It makes her angry. And I'm trying to just leave it, you know. Oh man, you should have just come this way. Go fast, you know. And the plain fact was, I was moving too fast. And even after that, I was trying to have her leave it behind, and I didn't support her in her feelings that she had in that situation. But I got, you know, from very different situation on the call. It was like, yeah, that's Mia trying to rush through something, and then rush even more once she's rushed through something, you know, instead of saying, let's slow down and notice what's happening in this situation. You know, there's no reason to rush home. There's no reason to rush through this situation, you know, blah, blah. And it could have been so much better. And because of the way it happened, you know, it took longer to unwind. Whereas if I'd slowed down a little bit, either at step 1 or step 2, step 1, not trying to run across the street and get in a hurry. Step 2, support my partner in, you know, how she felt threatened by having somebody gun their car, you know, at her in a crosswalk. It wouldn't have taken 2 hours to settle down. It would have been 10 minutes at the most, if it had even happened, you know. So, you know, yeah, and I didn't know. And the person who was on the call was talking about something completely different, but it was about slowing down, letting things happen. What would your future self do? Would your future self push like this? No, your future self would not push like this, you know? So that's just one example, but I get one every time I'm on the call, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, because it's so true. And it's like, you're right. And I love that you even highlighted, like, yeah. And then if in the second step, I would have just, instead of keep trying to speed up.
Yeah, I keep trying to run, and it's just getting worse and worse. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that you share that, because so many people are going to go, oh, yep. Okay. I did that today. And they're going to be able to make that shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. What are you looking forward to, or what are you excited about?
You know, just everything that's to come. You know, it's a completely open book right now for me. I've had, obviously my business is slowing down. I've had one of my clients also, you know, get out of the business. So there's a lot of openings, and where I would have been a little nervous about those openings and only seen the closings part,
Yeah.
Now I see them as openings, and I kind of can't wait to see, because I don't have to have a grand plan. I just need to know how my future self is going to step into the new situations once something comes through those open doors, So I'm excited about it rather than nervous about it. So it's less about the closing of doors and more about the opening of the next.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. I'm so excited for you. And I'm excited to see what comes in because it just keeps getting better and better.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Every week there's more. There's more awesome. There's more exciting stuff. So
Yeah.
So what advice would you give somebody who just wants to be able to slow down and allow things to happen instead of trying to force it to happen?
It like I said, it really helps me to be involved in the Enchanted Circle. And I like team sports and that sort of things, but I also like being by myself. But, and so I have to take that step to actually be involved in something like the Enchanted Circle, to do a weekend workshop, and really, be there. But it's so valuable. So for me, it's about taking a step, because it really does help to have the support of a lot of different people, with the backbone and your structure of keeping us all on our path. It's so helpful. It just opens up the door to understanding, where you are now and where you're heading, and that's, to me, that's the thing that's helped the most. And it took me a while. I listened to both the podcasts, your and Jenny's, and the More Money podcast for a long time, read the blog before I really decided that this was for me. Because it's another issue I have, is I have to do everything myself, of course. It's got to be me.
Right.
And when you realize how much help is out there, and how much energy is out there, it's not, help is kind of, there's definitely help there, but there's just an energy that you really tap into. It's the best way of putting it that I can put it. It's, the most valuable coaching I've ever got in my life. And I've been mentored by a couple of people, very, very helpful, but this is a whole different level. It's not so much, it's not a how-to, it's kind of, it's kind of tapping into this energy that's there in the universe. But it really helps to have a group kind of help you birth that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Well, this was fabulous. I think so many amazing takeaways from for our listeners. Thank you so much for joining today. This was amazing. I'm so excited for everyone to hear this and remember to slow down and allow stuff, because I think you just so eloquently shared those stories and how that's important and what unfolds from that. So that's awesome. I actually do have one more question I wanted to ask before I close up, actually, though, because you were talking about how, it takes 3 years to get into the wine business, to have your business, right? So what do you think you learned that you've been able to apply in the law of attraction from having gone through that and then built a business and knowing that there was a time span? How do you think that helps you today?
Oh, everything has a season. I think, as I look back on just my whole life, there's kind of a seasonality to everything, and a season could be 6 weeks, or it could be 30 years, but there's a season for everything. So for building inventory, for taking inventory down, and when you tune into the seasonality of whatever's going on in your life, it makes it, there's a flow there that also has to do with tapping into that energy, that I've found is really important. I can't be my 30-year-old self anymore. I mean, my 30-year-old self was crazy, working really hard, lots of goals, lots of this, and there was nothing wrong with that. That was the season I was in then. I'm in a very different season now, and it's just tuning into the season that you're in, and not being judgmental about any of it. There is nothing bad in the past, and there's nothing bad happening or nothing scary happening right now. It's a new season that's coming in, and so a lot of seasons with building a business, running a business, going through cyclical changes with the economy and the business itself, and then winding down a business. But they all had different seasons. Really, really exciting. And like I said, I was just at a seminar where I, tasted wines back to 1995, some of my first wines, all the way up to the present. And so it was, it was the beginning, the middle, and, the ending. And it was sweet because everybody really loved it. And so you see that those seasons, they're important for a lot of reasons. Including right now. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So valuable. And I totally have this visual of like going back and seeing all these seasons. And you're right. Like that's what it is in business, and understanding and really appreciating every season that you're in. It just makes it more valuable, and it makes things easier.
Yes, definitely.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so excited for our next interview because I know there's going to be more awesomeness that has unfolded. So thank you, Mia.
Oh, you're welcome. Always a pleasure, Cassie.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure to check out Mia's next interview to find out what happens next.
Thank you for joining us on The More Money Show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.